right? But your thumb should be on one clavicle, and your middle finger or whatever's easiest to you should be on your other. And then I've got my other hand around the shoulder, the scapula, within the shoulder, because I'm coming over from one side. So the first thing I should feel is, if I take really like thumb to thumb, I should feel this really nice movement of a rotation from the back and a rotation from the forward. Okay? Now, what makes that ideal? From swinging on the swing to bicycles, swimming, any child who can't do this little movement, especially in coordination with pubic bone strike, is not doing any of those things, right? If the shoulder, the clavicles, and the scapula can't articulate in a rotational way around midline as well as around the thorax, now you're going to get a front and back. That's one of the biggest things that you can really tell child special needs, especially in the jawline, because it's very horizontal and vertical, right? They don't have that, tilt or whatever.
Yeah.
Even just you doing an Indian head shake, right? It's a very, it's tilted, it's this, that, and the other. Our kids just can't do that motion. There's just certain motions within a typical mainframe versus an atypical system. It just can't do. It's just not a part of their system. But what I've been trying to do is break that down. So right there, that's also where that's important. He goes to sit up on the one side. Now, yes, he's holding the phone on the other side, and I didn't work on the other side yet. That's getting stuck on him.
Yeah.
Why? Because the clavicle can't slide forward in sitting up, allowing the shoulder blades to go higher than the collarbone, meaning that rotation around the shoulder, and therefore sitting up from a back. And this is not just affecting him, babies just across the board. I really think it's the 5-point harness. I'm not saying burn the car seats, but they're having so much car seat time, they have the harness around them, so now when they go to sit up from their back, it's just their systems don't know what to do with it. And you really see the cognitive attempt, because they want to do it, but they'll literally almost come to their side and then push over through their hands versus having that back. And this is where people say, oh, but they're low tone. Are they really low tone, or they just don't have the movement within their skeletal system to do it? And that's what's so funny to me when people go, oh, muscle memory. What about the skeletal memory? You know what I mean? If you even look at, I don't think Freud did it, but they did the whole mock-up of the human body to the brain. So it's like we have a giant tongue and two big hands and this, that, and the other. They kind of forgot that we had bones. Like, nobody's looked at that there's a skeletal system coming from cognitive awareness and organization. So, and you see that skeletal system break down, especially in near drownings, where literally their limbs start curling and stuff like that. You'll see that almost like you don't watch movies, but under the Wizard of Oz, when the witch, got landed on. That's an American chick flick, so you might even get it even more. And so that's what there. And now, see, I can really get into also that rib cage.
Yeah.
That was nice.
So I need not go directly on the throat.
No, you don't go directly on the throat. You can. When you're judging your direction onto the throat, your first touch you want to go to is really to see what the person's width of the hyoid bone is. Because the hyoid bone, I love how people say it's the only floating bone in the body. Well, they all float. But the hyoid bone, when you're working with the hyoid, you should be able to scoop towards you and scoop down into the pelvis. What does that mean? Is if I scoop, that's the same as me sticking out my tongue, right? And swallowing, getting that bolus. And so if I don't have a scoop here, and also too, what else is it showing me? I have visual midline going to lower quadrant, upper quadrant, and now when I have rotation of this, I have my peripheral fields, I have all of that, I have my visual arcs. The hyoid tells a lot, but the hyoid also tells you too if the child's been compromised. Like him, swollen adenoids, all of that kind of stuff. You're going to see a hyoid bone that just doesn't want to move the same way because it's been pressed from the inside out. This was Graham's thing. It took me a long time, probably work. If you have adenoids, any of that, then you're going to have that abnormal pressure down, and it's not going to get that seesaw effect. It's also not going to operate functionally if you don't have a pubic bone, because it needs a counter response. So I strike my pubic symphysis, and almost like a Pez dispenser. Again, this comes here, but the hyoid bone should always glide. And that means too, the head can tilt back nicely and come forward and rotate on the atlas. If not, again, what he tends to have is he wants to bring his head back and kind of sit it on the atlas in the back. That's his visual stability. He's not going to have that glide as much. So now when you're asking him to even sing or do something, what would be probably the most difficult move for him to do is that la 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 la, because he needs to have that la la versus na na na. And then the tongue, when the hyoid bone doesn't have that articulation of coming back or that slide, then the tongue wants to either drop or anchor in some form instead of be free in the mouth. Then again, you'll have that same width coming down. You can go as far as touching the throat, where it's not even on the esophagus part, but on the width of the neck. That's good to do too if a child too has had shunts or anything like that. And I talk like this for you because you are a practitioner, and you know sooner or later you're going to have those life experiences, right? But also too, you can go, you know, just to where you start to feel the tube of the esophagus. You don't want to go anything further than that because you'll get the gaggy, like the cough or the gag or something like that. Especially too, it doesn't take even but the lightest pressure. If you hit the esophagus to somebody, that's very threatening. Like that would be a karate chop. Like if I wanted to knock you out, I would go after like what they call the windpipes, right? But that's there, and so you can work on it accordingly. But also, what you're going to get neurofeedback from that too, is pay attention to someone's pulse, because you'll really feel. I think that's why a lot of people are right-handed, because the pulse goes up the left side, down the right, into the cranium area. And I believe that if I'm always tilting my head to a certain way, I'm actually putting pressure, and so that takes away from my left hand versus my right hand, because it allows the blood flow to go away. But I don't know if that matters to note or not. But lots of times too, if I feel an abnormal pulse, a much thicker pulse on the left side versus the right, I'll ask Mike, do you have a headache? Or he can't talk. That's when I also suggest, I really think he has headaches or maybe migraines, and you should get checked out, because he's not going to have the verbal skills to say, like, my head's just exploding right now. But you can tell by this feedback that you're getting.
diaper बदलना